The following presentation is brought to you by the Realm Network.
Today on Mr. Media, I'll talk to comedian and actor Jason Stuart. He's also the host of the video podcast Absolutely Jason Stuart on the T Radio V network. Stick around. There will be a share trivia quiz later. Maybe. Maybe not. So much media, so little time. Who keeps track of it all? That would be me. This is Bob Andelman, and this is the Mr. Media Interview, brought to you today by Amazon.com. When you visit MrMedia.com and click on any of the links to purchase books, music, movies, gift certificates, or anything else through our Amazon link, you support this free video podcast. Whenever you need something else from Amazon, please consider returning to MrMedia.com to order it. It doesn't cost you any extra, and we sure appreciate the support. And don't forget, MrMedia.com has more than 1,200 celebrity audio and video interviews archived on the site. That's hundreds upon hundreds of hours free entertainment. Subscribe for free on MrMedia.com, and you'll instantly get an email every time a new interview is posted. You can also watch and subscribe to the show on YouTube, Vimeo, Dailymotion, the Realm Network, and Frequency.com. And if you preferred to just listen, Mr. Media is also available for free on iTunes, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Blueberry, TuneIn, Blog Talk Radio, Podfeed.net, and Player FM. You can subscribe to any of those services and never miss another episode. Finally, you can interact with Mr. Media Interviews on all kinds of social media, including Facebook, Twitter, Google+, and more. Friend or follow us, we'll friend or follow you back. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Mr. Media is recorded live before a studio audience full of comedians, gay and straight, all of whom are eyeing my guest package because, well, that's just what they do. In the new media capital of the world, St. Petersburg, Florida. So much has happened in the world since the first time comedian Jason Stuart was a guest on Mr. Media back in June 2009. For one thing, he and I can now wed in at least 37 of these 50 states. For another, the big gay bear, now that's his description, not mine, developed his own video podcast, Absolutely Jason Stuart, on the T Radio V network. So he didn't even need to come back here, but he did anyway. And finally, he's become a much more familiar sight on TV and in movies, making appearances on Sleepy Hollow, Marin, The Secret Life of the American Teenager, Entourage, Everybody Hates Chris, and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, to name just a few. So why not get caught up? Jason Stuart, welcome back to Mr. Media.
Thank you. Yes, I think it's so, I was saying to you before, it's so cool that we can see each other, and this is happening. You're in Florida, I'm here in Hollywood. It's just, I think it's wonderful.
It's pretty cool. And of course, you take advantage of it yourself with your own podcast.
Yeah, and I've also embraced this whole social media thing. I really have. I have a web series now on, I guess it's on my own website, and people can also find it on a channel called Gay Direct. But you can also go to jasonstewart.com and get it. And it was a web series that I started creating because I started mentoring kids around 8 years ago, and at the Gay and Lesbian Center. And then all of a sudden, all these kids started showing up at my house, and I got friendly with this Middle Eastern kid named Paul Alaya, and he asked me to mentor him. And my father had just passed away, and I was feeling like sort of my life was, where am I going to go? Who am I right now at this age? And he asked me to mentor him. And basically what happened is he started mentoring me. And that's what the series is based on. And we got nominated for 3 Indie Series Awards. Best Screenplay, or Video Play, or Teleplay, and Best Supporting Actress, and Best Guest Star. And Alexander Paul is the one who got Best Guest Star in a Comedy. You know, the serious dramatic actress gets the comedy nomination. She was like laughing her head off when I told her.
That's pretty funny. But I want you to go back to what you said when you started. Gay Direct, is that where gays shop? What does that mean? Is that like the Amazon for gays? What is that?
New channel that Out TV in Canada, which is the gay channel in Canada, and Wolf Home Releasing here in the United States merged and created this YouTube channel.
All right. Well, they should have a shopping channel then. Gay Direct is just too great a name.
Isn't it? I think it's wonderful.
Yeah. Cool.
It's a channel just celebrating other gay and lesbian, bisexual, transgender, allies. Their programming, and where Logo and Here TV here in the United States haven't really hired all of us to do our own shows. This channel really is. This channel is really starting to go for it. So I thought that was really cool.
That is cool. Now I want to come back. We'll come back and talk about your podcast in a few minutes. But
sure.
What I really want to find out from you, because this has changed so much since the last time we spoke. I wouldn't even thought to brought this up in 2009. Hearing wedding bells yet?
Oh God. Well, I was dating a flight attendant, interior decorator, and a hairstylist, which is the gay trifecta. And I broke up with him because, let me think about it, why? He stopped calling me. Every time I leave his house, he'd charge me for a pillow. And he would go, bye-bye. I was dating a guy in New York, and he said I reminded him too much of his ex-boyfriend, and he couldn't handle it emotionally. The list goes on. I can't find a great guy, so if there's anybody out there, I'm single once again. I'm a great catch. I have a job. I have a car. I don't live in it.
Folks, that's www.jasonstuart.com if you're, single and looking.
That's the UART, Stuart.
Stuart. Is it harder on relationships now that marriage is a possibility? Because suddenly it could become more entangled than it ever could. It was easier.
I never thought about the possibility of that, because growing up as a kid, it just didn't really exist for me. And now that it's becoming, how many states is it now? I mean,
37, 38? I don't know. Does Alabama count as a state?
No.
Okay. Well,
none of the 8 states do.
Then maybe 36.
If hee-haws played there too many times, it's an emotional thing for me, I have to say, because the idea of having that possibility is so wonderful, but at the same time frightening. I'm getting a prenup. That's all I have to say. With all the guys that come in and going in my life, please, honey.
Now, am I wrong in saying that I don't think it would have been on either of our minds in mid 2009 that I'm sure there are people who are pushing for more rights and more recognition.
I was always saying come on, straight people, if you let us marry each other, we'll stop marrying you. The idea of it, I think, was kernling. I mean, what really started the whole projection of that was around, I think it was the late, please, if I'm wrong, forgive me, I think it was in the late 90s, is that there was 3 couples in Hawaii that said, hey, we want to get married, and they went down and challenged this. When I was working for the HRC doing stand-up comedy for their benefits, their whole campaign was to get us equal rights so we wouldn't get fired from our jobs, and also protection so we wouldn't be asked to leave our homes, if you rented an apartment from someone or renting a home from somebody. So that was not the issue of the gay community, but it came from the people, and then it just sort of tumbleweeded into this whole equality for marriage thing. And I have to say, though, I don't think any of us really realize the implication of what the idea of being married is. It's like asking to be able to sit at the big table. Mm-hmm. I've always felt as a gay person that I sit at the card table, at some sort of Passover meal, and I'm sitting there, my legs are sticking out. It doesn't matter how old I get, I'm still stuck at the card table with the other kids because I don't have a husband. I don't have a +1, or if I did, my +1 wouldn't be added. So metaphorically in life, I think that's the way gay people feel, is that we haven't been able to ask to sit at the big table. And marriage is 3 things. It's emotional marriage, it's religious marriage, and then it's a marriage contract, which is about money and taking care of each other. So there's 3 different kinds of marriages. So I think that people don't really see it that way. They just see it as one thing. And it is a license. It's in the same way you're getting a driver's license. Mm-hmm. And you get things by having that license. And then there's the religious, which really has nothing to do with the marriage license. And then there's, of course, emotional. It's the commitment. A lot of people in the gay community got married, and there was no license or religious aspect to it. They just wanted to get married. I want to walk down the aisle. I want Barbra Streisand singing, "I finally found someone." That's my wedding. You know,
it's interesting that the generation coming of age now will probably in 10 years just take all this for granted, and they'll be. I mean, they'll be. I think that they may look at it as if I'm 13, 14, 15 and gay or lesbian right now, when I'm in my 20s, this will have been part of growing up for me. So I'll be. You don't think so?
They still don't. No, I agree with you 100%. They still don't get it completely. I mean, there's a certain, who's Harvey Milk, who's Gertrude Stein, who are these people that we stand on the shoulders of. I mean, there are comedians that I always talk about. There's Robin Tyler, who was one of the first to be on television talking about being gay. There was Michael Greer, who passed away, who never really, I don't even think, got on TV. There was Jaffe Cohen, who was the first openly gay comedian to be on, I think it was called, it was on Laugh Factory's Comic Express, not Comedy Express, the other one. I forgot the name of the show that they were doing at the Laugh Factory that I couldn't even get on. And I was a regular at the Laugh Factory at the time. Then there was, of course, Bob Smith, who was the first on The Tonight Show, Suzanne Westenhofer on Letterman. And those two are the only two gay comics who have actually done stand-up on those two shows that I know of.
I'm kind of thinking that it may have actually been a comedian who made accepting gays and relationships more easy for straight America to accept. I'm thinking Ellen DeGeneres when she came out on her show. It was like, what? She's gay? And of course she said, "Yep, I'm gay." But I mean, it was. Oh well, she seems so nice and normal, and okay, if that's I guess people could accept that. Did that open doors? Do you think?
She created a whole flood of people. I came out 3 years before her, but she created a whole flood of people who were comfortable. She really changed the climate, I think, in that way, in a very big way. And we all have a big thank you to her for that.
So do you think your life has changed any in terms of your dating and the way you approach dating now that you have this option down the line if you want it?
Man, yeah, there's a choice to be made. There's a wedding to be had, and there's gifts to be gotten. And I can sign up someplace and get shit for free. They said on Sex and the City, after you graduate from college, we don't get anything anymore if you're not married to somebody. Now we get anniversary presents, and if you have children, presents for your kids, and housewarming. You live alone, you don't have a housewarming party. It's a couple thing,
And Jason, as a comedian, I mean, have the changes in perceptions of gay Americans? I mean, has that by straight American has that changed your act at all? Has it changed what you talk about?
Oh yeah, I think in lots of ways. I think that sometimes I go on stage, especially in Los Angeles, and I don't have to announce it at the beginning of my show, whereas in other areas I still have to do that and letting them know that I'm not kidding, that this is who I am. Whereas before, I'd have to announce who I was, so is to make the audience, at ease and not question, is he? Is he not? Is he kidding? What's the deal,
Has it changed what you talk about?
Oh, always.
Really?
But that's, 22 years ago when I came out. Now I don't think about it. I talk about whatever I, think is funny.
Has it given you the opportunity to get in front of different audiences? I mean, you talk about Gay Direct, where you're pretty much programming to a gay audience, I imagine.
That specific show was the only people that would buy my show, honestly. It was because it's about having availability to these other people. So it's not because I'm gay. It's because of a certain maybe it is. I don't know. I mean, it's a certain availability to the movers and shakers in town that give you opportunities to move to the next level in your career. It's also about age. I'm over 40. So it's about the idea about staying viable.
Now, I want to say to you, I don't want to just talk to you or deal with you because you're a gay comedian, but I mean, so many things have changed, and you're in such a visible position. I just thought it was fascinating. I mean, that your life has probably been
It
turned
feels
upside
like
down in some ways.
it doesn't feel, it feels slowly changing and unraveling. It doesn't feel like it's changed in 2 seconds. It feels very slow, but I realize when I look back on it, it's much bigger.
Are there people that you knew were gay in years past, maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago, who have just kind of let themselves out of the closet because it's more accepted, or are there still a lot of people that are closeted at this point?
Well, there are some people that are still closeted, but there's a lot of people. Most people are popping out like Pop-Tarts.
All right. Are there things that you can talk about now if you're entertaining, or I know that you lecture as well? Are there things that you can talk about to a straight audience or a more a general audience that maybe you wouldn't have 5 or 10 years ago?
I think the way I design what I'm going to talk about in terms of stand-up or lecturing or whatever I'm doing is by age more than being gay or straight.
Okay.
And also where they live, social, class, that kind of thing, much more than gay or straight. So maybe that's how things have changed.
And I'm sorry if I asked you this already, but are you finding you have any more opportunities now than you did? And maybe this segues into talking about the podcast. Do you think the podcast has given you more opportunities, or do you think that changing?
Well, no, I think the web series has given me more opportunities because I directed it, I co-wrote it, I acted in it, and I co-produced it. So a lot of people are seeing me much more as a filmmaker and as a producer. So I see that. And also the idea of me mentoring people has created an avenue for me to, I've been in the business a long time. I've been in over, probably close to maybe 200 film and TV shows. So I have a lot of experience. So that has sort of given me opportunity. And when you get older, you get a certain gravitas that you don't have when you're young.
Let me know when I hit that, okay? It hasn't happened yet. Is part of what's happened, in terms of directing and writing and creating the series, the nature of media today that you can do things on your own. You don't have to rely on a studio necessarily, and so you get to show what you can do on your own.
Well, I've done that for years. I did my first film myself called 10 Attitudes that I wrote, co-wrote, improvised, and produced, and started. And that I started in 2001. It came out in 2004 on DVD through Aristocal Home Entertainment. Just a great guy, Michael Scholl, who was so kind to do that. He also released my stand-up special, which I also produced, making it to the middle and sold it to Here TV. I've done several short films, my own comedy CD. I've produced, so the podcasts, I have to say, are not as, it's something you do, but it's not as, forgive me, but my mother has a podcast. It's about getting them popular. That's what's in, but everybody seems to have one. You mentioned that I was on Mark Maron's podcast, and that was a big deal. I mean, I got more fans from that. I got big. I can go down my career and tell you what was a bigger impact and what things spurred. Like guest starring on The Closer 5 years ago, where I played this guy who talked like this. When I was a them but those kind of guy, and I was annoyed. That changed my career in the sense that people saw me older, playing more straight kind of guys. I'm obviously too old to play gay because there are no gay men over 35. And what happens in show business, unless they come back when they're around 60, and Alfred Molina and John Lithgow get to play them in a movie called Love is Strange, and I was lucky enough to play the guy who married them. But that's what happens. All the great roles go to the straight guys who've had these incredible careers. I've always feel like I'm catching up, because I missed the beginning of my career by being who I was, that there was no place for me.
You mentioned that everybody seems to have a podcast. I mean, for a while, Maron and Chris Hardwick with The Nerdist, they were the prime ones who were, doing it, and probably a lot of people, comedians especially, were still kind of skeptical of it. But of late, yeah, I mean, and Kevin Pollak was in there pretty early too, I think. But
I've got to. That reminds me. I have to email Kevin because he wanted to put me on his.
Oh, and I'd like to.
I met him at Sundance. He was just what a sweet man. I'm going to write that down. Thank you for reminding me.
Well, you can tell him I'd like to have Kevin here. I'm sure he has the free time for that.
Yeah, sure. He's dying.
What was Misery Loves Comedy was his film, right? He got a good reception.
Very much so. Yeah, and he was a great guy. He told me this really great story about the people who were film directors at Sundance this year. I was lucky to go 2 years in a row with the film. This year I was there with Tangerine, executive produced by the Dukas brothers, and co-written and directed by Sean Baker, who is just one of the most talented guys I've ever met. And I got to play another guy is annoyed. The manager, the doorman, Joey the doorman at the place where the girls try to do their show. It's about these two transgender girls, a day in the life. And I got to meet Kevin at this actors brunch, and he remembered me. We'd met several times at the Improv, but I didn't know it was such a long time ago. I guess some people say I'm too modest sometimes, but I was a little in awe of him. He did one of my favorite films, Liberty Heights. Avalon, which was turned into Liberty Heights for a TV series. Avalon, which is one of my favorite movies of all time, and. He had talked about how Robert Redford talked to all the people that had films in the festival, and then everybody would go over to talk to him afterwards, and he spent the time. But then there were so many people, he didn't have time, and he went over to his publicist and he says, I know Bob left, but do you think I could take the time, to talk to him sometime at the festival? I was actually up for his film, one of his films, and a quiz show, and Bob came out there 90 seconds later and sat and talked with him for like an hour.
Wow.
So it's just a wonderful, giving place where we're all trying to get to the next level. It just reminded me of that. I wanted to talk to Kevin. He wanted to talk to, we all want to be with our idols and people that did what we wanted to do. I mean, Kevin has got an incredible character actor career that I could still only hope for.
Well, Pollak and I can't believe I'm saying this publicly, Gilbert Gottfried are the two guys who are doing podcasts that, Pollak's been doing his for a while, but I only kind of discovered it last fall, and I've been going back, and I've gone back, I think I've got about 75 left. I mean, he's done almost 300 now. Yeah.
I watched some of mine, which I was really impressed. You saw I was with Judy Tenuta. That you watched that one
last week, yeah.
That was hard. She was like not easy to interview.
I wondered about that. She's been on here, and she was kind of difficult.
But she's old school. She wants to be funny.
Yeah, well, and she wants to go where she wants to go. She's not necessarily.
You follow Judy. She does not follow you. She's the goddess. She's the flower.
Yeah.
Judy. I've known her 20 years. She's a dear friend. And she's a lovely gal.
I understand the gays love her rack, though.
Oh my God, the lesbians love her. The lesbians love her rack.
I thought she was talking about the gay men love her rack. That's what seemed kind of curious. I couldn't figure that one out. Maybe I misunderstood.
Not surprising.
Well, okay, it wouldn't be the first time. Let me. Well, I want to say one other thing about Pollak's show. If folks are watching this and you have not seen Kevin Pollak's chat show, you need to go look that up. It's a video. It's on YouTube, but it's also a podcast. You can find it on iTunes and the audio. You would be very surprised at how good this guy is as a host and as an interviewer. Yeah,
it's a crime that he's not getting the opportunity. And I think sometimes it's about age. I was just at God bless him. I was at Taylor Negron's memorial last night, and Sandra Bernhard and Paula Poundstone, Rick Overton, Jill Soloway, all these people who knew him well stood up and talked about him. I don't know if you knew Taylor, or I don't know if you even interviewed him.
I knew of him. I've never interviewed him, though.
I'll leave you with a couple things that stuck with me so much. First of all, Paula, so funny, so current, so incredibly. I don't know why she's not doing a talk show, hosting her own show. She had one years ago on ABC, and it was a show that probably would now be done as a talk show, but I think it was ahead of its time. And she said the funniest thing about Taylor. She said, "I don't think he ever told the truth." When I met Taylor, it was I have to say, probably 30 years ago. I played him on a TV show called Mike Nesmith's TV Parts.
Oh, Elephant Parts. Oh, TV. It was based on Elephant Parts. Yeah.
Was it? And they did a sketch of his, and I played a younger version of him. And Taylor comes over to me and says, "You are way too old to play a younger version of me." And then we did a show recently together around 2 years ago, because we've seen each other through the years. We auditioned for the same parts. I was uncast from a film that he got. He was fired from a film that I got. We were always up against each other, and I had known that he was ill. And in the last 2 years, we did this show together, and we became very friendly, and we were talking on the phone. He was supposed to do my podcast, but it didn't happen. And he kept saying that he was Jewish. I said, "Honey, you're not Jewish. If you were Jewish, you'd have less self-esteem." And he said, "If I knew you were so funny, I would have been nicer to you." That's what he said.
Bing.
I just, he was such a gifted man. Yeah. Certainly, it was just so hard. And Sandra Bernhard said the funniest thing. Sandra was talking about the Comedy Store. She said, if these walls could talk, they'd run out of this place screaming. Oh, it was at the Comedy Store. Because people would talk, Argus Hamilton got up and talked about how it's home, and it isn't home for all of us. It was a place we worked where we were frightened and scared and treated badly at times, and sometimes great. And it was a great high and low. And he was Mitzi Shore's boyfriend for quite a while, so it was a different experience certainly for him than a lot of us. I always felt like I didn't fit in. The Laugh Factory is the place which is my home club.
So I'm going to interrupt you for just a second. Normally I wouldn't do this, but your room has gotten very dark since we've been talking. I don't think it's a conversation. I think it's the lights.
So should we put on a light? Hold on.
Yeah, I think you might want to put on a light.
Is this good?
Whoa, look at that, folks. We lit them up. Much better.
Folks, to let them know, it's around 5:30 in Los Angeles, so that's what happens.
The sun's just starting to set. Yeah, I figured.
Yeah. It's funny because I had the blinds open over there on the other side.
I didn't want to interrupt you in the middle of a good memorial story, but all right, so
we're sitting in my office here in Hollywood. This was my tour a couple of years ago, and that was my tour. Oh, you can't see it all, but there's a couple of the things that I've done. They're a little hanging around the apartment, trying to make me feel like I'm not a complete loser.
Well, since you're showing us the stuff on the walls, anything on your desk you'd like to pick up and describe? Yeah, anything stands out?
A picture of me and my dad.
Hold it up a little bit higher. There you go. That's
one of my favorite pictures of me.
That's cute.
Dad. I don't know where it is. It's one of my favorite pictures. My dad passed away 3 years ago. And, what's today's date? It'll be February 25th. It'll be 3 years. And it's interesting for those who've lost parents. I don't know if you have.
I have.
You become a part of a club of people because your life changes, your family changes. Everybody moves their seat at the table, and it's a different experience. And you start to really know what's important and know that you're going to be, I've lived on the planet longer than I'm probably going to live. And you want to make use of your time in the best way possible and do things that make you laugh and that are more fun. And so I'm really focused on that because of that. And knowing that my dad, one of the people I was talking to, they said, because my parents both didn't want me to be in show business. And I was talking to an agent of mine in New York who I've worked with forever, Shelley Weiss, and about her son and how her son is in his 20s and how it changes, when you get older. And my parents didn't want me to be in show business, and I resented it for a long time. And you know what? They were right, because they cared about me and they wanted me to have a good life. And I think they knew that it would be difficult. And the odds of me doing, every time I get a job, I get down on my knees and I go, my God, how did that happen? It's like winning the lottery. How does it happen? I'm in a film that the Duplass brothers executive produced. And the director, Sean Baker, is like, in Variety, 10 directors to watch. Every year I would look at that and go, God, I want to be in one of those movies. And now I am. And then I would send an email or try to get a hold of everybody on that list because I wanted to work with talented people. That's always been such a big goal for me. And I sent 9 things out this year to people, and one of them was somebody who was a DP on a movie that I had already worked on. He said, Jason, don't you remember? I thought, my God, there's 2 people on the list that I've worked with, and I'm at Sundance, and I'm at a party that the Duplass brothers are giving. I walk in the door, and one of the paparazzi guys who I know says to me, would you mind taking a picture with the Duplass brothers? And I said, mind? I formed my life on them. Writer, producer, directors, actors in their own pieces, this improv-y kind of thing that I love in movies and TV. And I'm at this party and I'm thinking to myself, with all these great artists and all these people that have developed stuff, and I'm thinking, this is a party that I would read about in Variety that I think, I really want to be at this party. Oh, I'm here.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned the Duplass Brothers project because, it's amazing what's going on with them. I mean, they're on such a high right now. For folks who don't know who we're talking about, Jay is the bearded son on Transparent.
Right.
And
he's more director, writer than the other guy is. And Mark is on a new show called Togetherness, which they both direct and write. With the other guy on the show, forgive me, I've forgotten his name. He's part of the whole writing team, and he plays the best friend.
Is it Steve Zissou? It's something.
Yes, you're really good.
Well, yeah. We've been watching. My wife just adores those guys and has become just a huge. She'll read anything she can on them.
I'm obsessed.
Yeah, she went back and she found the Kevin Pollak interview with Mark, and then she was explaining to me how Mark doesn't know how to operate a camera, but Jay knows how to operate the camera. There's a very big split on them with what they do for each other. What was it like? Now, I know they didn't direct Tangerine, right?
The producer, I worked with Sean, and Sean was terrific because he came in and he said, this is what I want you to do. And he let me improvise. My whole part was improvised. And basically, I just had to hit a couple points, and he edited me lovely. And the film is, one of my biggest laughs is I don't say anything. I just look at these girls. They're trying to get into this club, to sing. One of them is sing, and they're trying to get in. I'm looking at what are they doing? They want to get paid. They want to do this. They have to pay me. And there's this whole, sort of underground club kind of. We used Hamburger Mary's here in Los Angeles, and what's so funny because the whole film was shot on an iPhone 5. With so think of this as a long pole, and the camera's put here, like this, on the phone. And then there's another lens that was put here. It was extraordinary. And when we were doing it, I was going, God, am I in the camera? Am I off? But and I just went for it, and I figured, what the hell? I'm just going to go for it. And there was one thing when these girls are running down the street, and they're bringing this other woman who's actually a real woman into the club, and she has one shoe on. So I'm known as the guy who says, you don't have a shoe. And then they come down the street, and I just look at them like, what the hell is that? It was the biggest laugh. I thought it was hysterical. It's all the way things are edited. And I hope to work with these guys again, and we become all very close. And I think they sort of think of me as sort of the team now. We really bonded at Sundance, and that's what happens is you get to work with these cool people.
They wrote and produced a web series called Wedlock, Rob Corddry is in it as a.
Oh, I love Rob Corddry.
It's a wedding counselor. It's like 10 5-minute episodes. Mark is in it.
What is it called again? I'm gonna write.
It's Wedlock, Wedlock. It's on Vimeo. The only place you can get it is Vimeo. And Jennifer, oh my God, I'm going to kill myself. I can't think of her name.
I know who you're talking about.
She co-produced and stars in it with Mark and Rob Corddry. So I didn't know who the Duplass brothers were when she was on, 4 or 5 months ago.
Did you ever see The Puffy Chair or The Other Woman?
I haven't seen The Puffy Chair. I saw...
It's at home.
Who Lives at Home? What's the...
Jeff Who Sleeps at Home.
Jeff Who Lives at Home. It's a wonderful movie.
Lives at home, yes. Not sleeps, lives.
And they're also behind and on The League on FX.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's so too.
It's funny because they're all over the place, and a lot of people don't quite, as I didn't, don't quite recognize
Well,
them
they're
yet.
not
But
studio guys. They're guys who did this their own way, and they created the kind of stuff they wanted. Have you been watching Togetherness?
oh yeah, we just watched the latest one last night.
Did you love it?
Yeah, it's great. And
What do you
Melanie
think
Linsky.
of
And
their marriage? I mean, I'm very worried.
there's something wrong with both of them. I mean, at first I thought it was just her. Now I'm starting to think they both got some major issues.
Oh, please. And the sister, Amanda Peet, it's the best thing she's ever done.
Yeah, well, she was on Studio 60 on Sunset, or that NBC show that last
Right,
episode.
that was a very good show. But I really love this show.
Yes.
I love, there's something about this show that seems so real and so wonderful. Can we just not talk about what happened at marriage counseling? Can we just have a good day? I mean, people do this all the time in life. We did that. Can we just,
And we never find out what they talked about in their counseling session.
It doesn't matter.
Never. No, but I mean, they talk about it,
What
but
really
we don't
matters
know.
is they can't stop talking about what they're not supposed to talk about. And I love Louis C.K. show.
Oh yeah,
I'm obsessed with that. And I love also, I love Curb Your Enthusiasm. And I really like Girls because it's always different, And it's these unique voices. And that's what I base Mentor on, is a comedy drama in the style of those shows.
I will have to get caught up on that, and we'll have on the page where this is, we'll have a direct link to that so people can watch that.
Please.
Absolutely. So, all right. So let's come back around to the podcast, because it's interesting to me that you're on there. You do what I'm doing here, which is you arrange guests. You have people come on. What are you looking for in guests, and who's worked out and who's disappointed you?
I have to say I've had very few bad guests. Sometimes people will come in and be a little persnickety because of their day or whatever is going on with them, and then that usually. And I understand that because I do. This is my second interview today. I've done, and I feel like, oh God, do I really want to talk about myself? Jesus Christ! Can't we talk about something else? Can I say whatever language I want?
Absolutely.
Can't we fucking talk about something else? Do we have to talk about me? You see how animated I get when I'm talking about the work, because I love the work.
Right.
I love being in the mix of the work. That's it for me. There's nothing better than that, with talented people. But the guests on the show are usually people I work with or I'm friends with. So that's how it happens. Very rarely do I have someone on the show that I don't know. Almost everybody. I think maybe one or two people I didn't know. And now I'm friendly with both of them.
And does the show, you record the show or you go out live?
No, I do it live, and then they archive it at T Radio V.
Okay.
Michael Zinna owns it. I think it may change the name to Zinna Media. And there's supposed to be some, I'm not allowed to talk about all the stuff that's happening there, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. So I've been doing it there. Andy Dick has a show there. Eric Roberts' show follows me. Dave Navarro has a show.
Michael DeBar, I saw that.
Michael DeBar had a show. I don't know if he used to follow me. I don't know where he is in the mix now. And there's a lot of really hot girls that have shows, and a lot of rock and rollers, a lot of comedians. And, it's so funny because you keep calling me a comedian. I really consider myself an actor first, a comedian second, and just overall just an artist and a filmmaker now. Even though I guess I sort of got famous for being a comedian because I was one of the first to be openly gay, but it doesn't feel ever like that's all of who I am. That seems like a portion, Well,
I was going to ask you, how often do you get up on stage now to just do comedy?
I mean, this week you won't be on, but I'm doing the Improv in Ontario, and the next week on the 24th, I'm going to be at the Laugh Factory doing my Jason Stuart and Friends show in Hollywood, and I do a show there, every month because that's my home club. And anyway, just go to jasonstewart.com and you can find out anything.
It's all there.
Yeah, I go once a week. I'm usually up someplace.
All right. And who has absolutely surprised you as a guest? Did you just have,
David Koechner, because I had done a benefit with him, and I guess I can say this. We had done for the Gay and Lesbian Center, for the LifeWorks mentoring program, for 6 years I did a benefit for them to raise money for the gay kids that are in the program there. And a publicist or somebody had said, I know David Koechner, I can get him from Anchorman. And I thought, he's great, but it's not going to. This is a pretty much primarily, I'd say, 75% gay men, 50% lesbians, and another 10% of straight people, and most of them were fat girls.
They were? You mean after watching your show, they've lost weight and they're svelte now?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
So I didn't think this was going to be his audience, and he went upstage, and we thought he was going to do these characters, and he didn't do it, and he sort of got a little lost in it, and he's so talented, and he got a little. It wasn't, it was sort of a little bit of a trying to fit in there, and when he came on the show. He did it, which was so lovely. He did it for me. And I mean, this is a guy right before, Anchorman 2 came out. He was my first guest on my show. He was my opening guest. And he basically said, look, I'm not that guy that I play on the screen. So he sort of put me in my place, which I thought was fascinating. And it sort of it took me a little back because I had done another show for a year at Radio Titans called Name Dropping, which was a sort of a radio version of my logo show. And I was taken a little back by him, I have to say. He put me in my place a bit, and I thought, I have to recover from this. I can't let him know that I'm sweating a little, trying to figure out who he's at, because I didn't know him really well, but I'd only worked with him, So that was an interesting guest. And he wound up being this just lovely man. I mean, this father with 4 kids, and so open and so funny. And I started going on stage, on the net. Look, he also does his own stuff. It's really sort of funny and goofy, and I just loved it.
Well, we've kind of reached that point where I want to ask you what else is coming up. As for example, when we'll be able to see Tangerine?
Tangerine is coming out through Magnolia Pictures in the summer. I have a movie that I finished with Mink Stoll and Varla Jean Merman. It's a parody film. I have a pretty big part. I play Mr. Wills. I'm a British journalist. I talk like this. And I got to work with Mink Stoll. Can you imagine? And it's called Hush Up, Sweet Charlotte. And it's a parody of the old Betty Davis, Betty Davis, Olivia de Havilland film. That Joan Crawford was fired from, but they do keep her she's in the closet in the film.
And that was Hush Hush, Sweet Charlotte.
It was
right?
Hush Hush, Sweet Charlotte. I have a film, a cop drama that I'm in called Dirty, starring Roger Guinevere Smith, Tony Dennison, and my good friend Alexander Paul. I actually got her a part in it, and I play another hard-ass bar manager. I talk like this. I'm this mess. And I'm in one of James Franco's movies called Holy Land. What else? Oh, I'm in an episode of Rob Schneider's new show, Real Rob, and I love Rob. Boy, he was fun to work with and so supportive. Love working with other comics sometimes. It's just wonderful. And then I have a couple other movies that I'm waiting to hear what happens to. One called Baby Steps. I'm not sure when that's coming out. I play a Jewish doctor who wears a big hairpiece.
I'm so sorry that you're not finding enough to keep you busy.
Oh, that's what everybody says, but I never feel. Everybody says that to me all the time, and I'm always thinking, God, I'm not really doing anything. I don't know.
Steady work. I mean, that's the drill, right? You get a lot of gigs, and some rise, some fall, but you keep busy.
And I'm going back to Indiana. I just got found out the other day to do Crackers, which I hadn't done. I don't do many clubs, so I'm actually doing 5 shows in a club in March. I usually do, one night here, one night there, or whatever. But so this sort of is going to be interesting. So it'll be a lot of new stuff. I'll be writing a lot. I'm writing a lot lately, so it'll be a lot of new stuff.
All right. Well, folks, listen, you can watch Absolutely Jason Stuart, starring my guest, actor and comedian, Jason Stuart. It's on tradiov.com, or like his show Mentor, you can see it on his website, which is jasonstuart.com, JASONSTUART.com.
You can also see the podcast there. There's a button that says podcast. Anything you want. Facebook me, like me, friend me, tweet me, lick me, taste me. I like a little nibble and then a lick on the side of my face. That's what I like the most. It's right there. Maybe on the neck right here. This is it. So.
Yeah, I'm going to let that one go. Listen, just because you can marry me doesn't mean you can get away with stuff with me, okay?
I will take advantage of you, I promise.
Well, Jason Stuart, pleasure to see you this time. Delighted that you came back, and continued good luck with all your projects.
You too. You too. Congrats on your show.
Thanks. Good to see you.
Take care. Look at these hands; they look so big.
I was going to say, actually, as you said to Judy Tenuta last week, it's much bigger than this. It's more like, yeah.
You hate that she's trying to tell me I have a small penis? How dare she?
Hi, this is Buzz Burbank in the Buzz Burbank newsroom, preparing for you another Buzz Burbank news and comment. Do you like good stories? Boy, I sure do. I turn over a lot of stones each day to make sure I don't miss the best ones. Sure, some make me angry, and some make me sad, and some make me laugh, and isn't that what makes us human? I'm proud of the fact that I pack more news into my 10 or 15 minutes a day than the evening news does in a half hour. It's a free podcast at buzzburbank.com, or you can subscribe free at iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, or get it on any RSS device. It's like a newspaper for your head. It's Buzz Burbank News and Comment, another Realm Network presentation. Weekday mornings right here on the Realm Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome to the George and Tony Entertainment Show. Prepare for awesome mediocrity.
We're the Cousin Oliver of the Realm Network. I'm George.
And I'm Tony.
And we're a weekly family-friendly podcast about pop culture.
From our point of view.
At realmnetwork.com, the George and Tony Entertainment Show from the Realm Network.
This is Snake. Do you read me, Otacon?
Loud and clear, Snake.
Did you listen to the latest episode of the Gaming Marathon on the Realm Network?
Of course. They really know their stuff about gaming, especially that Usad guy.
Yeah, but that Chirac guy is a real jerk. I don't like him.
Regardless, their reviews are spot on and they tell it like it is.
That's for sure.
What happened, Snake? Were you spotted?
Nah, it's just Lil Melser crying about the O's again.
Close call.
I better continue the search for Metal Gear, but keep listening to the Gaming Marathon each week.
You got it, Snake.
New every Monday afternoon right here on the Realm Network. It's the Mark and Lowell Show.
Hi, this is Mark. And this is Lowell. And if you're fans of Don and Mike, you may know who we are.
Our number one interns. You've met them on the show. They're the guys that ate all the junk, and they were outside with each other holding hands with a sign that said that they loved each other wearing the dunce caps.
And what you may not know is that we started out as fans back in their WAVA days.
Hi, Don and Mike. It's Mark and Lowell.
Oh, yeah. Hey, these are two guys that we once actually called them our proteges, didn't we?
And now we have our own show, so we want you to give it a shot. Just check us out at the Realm Network, realmnetwork.com, or you can go to markandlowell.com.
Resistance is futile. It's the Mark and Lowell Show.
Every Tuesday and Thursday evenings right here on the Realm Network. And catch the Poor Premium Show Friday nights.